Good evening and welcome. My name is Beverly Johnson Torelli, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Benton and Franklin counties. I want to make it clear that the League of Women Voters and our co-sponsor, Consejo Latino, do not support or oppose any candidate. In presenting these forms, it is our goal to provide opportunities for voters to become better informed about the people who are running for the office. Tonight's forum is being live streamed on social media, specifically on KNDU TV's Facebook page. It is also being recorded for replay at a later date on Charter Channel 190. It will be available for viewing on YouTube as well. Tonight we will be hearing from the candidates who are running for Benton County Sheriff, Kennewick School Board Director 1, Port of Kennewick Commissioner, and those seeking positions on the Kennewick City Council seats 1, 2, and 4 at large. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Tracy Dial, news anchor and reporter from KNDU TV, who will serve as our moderator. Tracy.
Thank you so much, Beverly. Thank you so much, Beverly. I am so honored to be here tonight. I actually am a Kennewick resident myself, so along with you guys, I'm becoming a more well-informed voter tonight. And I just want to say a huge thank you to the League of Women Voters and Consejo Latino for offering these for everyone in our community. So let's get started. Are you guys ready? Okay. So tonight we'll be using the following format. Each candidate may make a 1.5-minute opening statement, and we'll then move on to the question and answer period, where in your responses you'll also get 1.5 minutes. All the candidates running for the same position will answer the same questions, alternating who goes first. If you guys have cards that you'd still like to send in for your own audience questions, just make sure you get them in and write which race you want that question to be for. And then you can hold up that card and one of our League of Women voter volunteers will come up and collect it from you. So candidates, I want to point out to you our timer right up here in the front. She'll hold up a sign when you have 15 seconds left to speak. And then again, 15 seconds later, she'll show the one to stop. Now you don't have to finish your sentence right then, but you should start to wrap it up around that time. So let's begin by introducing the candidates running for Benton County Sheriff. We have Jerry Hatcher and Ken Lattin. They're seated next to me, and they're going to be addressed in alphabetical order. So let's begin with Mr. Hatcher. Your opening statement, please. 1.5 minutes.
Thank you. First of all, I'm Sheriff Jerry Hatcher. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this forum and having all the candidates here tonight to speak to you. Thank you, Tracy. And I started my law enforcement career in 1988. I have worked my entire law enforcement career for the Benton County Sheriff's Office, preparing to become your sheriff. I'm very proud to have been promoted to every rank within the department, starting as a deputy sheriff, corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, undersheriff, and I'm currently serving as the sheriff. Each of these ranks have increased responsibility and has given me the knowledge and experience I need to be successful at the sheriff level. In addition to my professional experience, I've prepared myself academically. I have a Bachelor of Science in Leadership Management. I have obtained my first level supervision, middle management, and executive level certifications from the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission. I'm a graduate of the Law Enforcement Command College, and I'm a graduate of the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia. The Sheriff's Office has built an excellent reputation with our citizens, our community, and our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners. We have accomplished this by understanding the community's needs, expectations, and values of its law enforcement services. As your sheriff, my top priority is public safety and keeping our families safe. Thank you.
Mr. Lattin, 1.5.
Thank you, Tracy. And thank you to the League of Women Voters and Consejo Latino for sponsoring this event. My name is Ken Lattin, and I'm running for Benton County Sheriff. I'm a lifelong resident of Benton County, nearly 29 years of law enforcement experience. I believe that we can do better in law enforcement. It's time for this profession to evolve to the next level. In order to best serve the community, we must earn their trust. An agency or organization is either growing or it's dying. There is no coasting at the top. I want to bring new ideas to the Sheriff's Office where we partner with the community to solve problems. I've spent the majority of my career with the Kennewick Police Department, which has become a model across the nation that other agencies have gone to copy, not only for crime prevention, crime fighting, but also in partnering with the community. I have the experience to take the Sheriff's Office to the next level of excellence. The last 14 years have led and managed in every aspect of law enforcement. The majority of my work has been working with schools, community partners, and our citizens. I have managed the 3 largest community events in the Tri-Cities, the Water Follies, River of Fire, and the Benton Franklin Fair and Rodeo. This includes officers and deputies from Benton County area, Yakima, and also Walla Walla. I have the education with a bachelor's degree in organizational management. I have a master's degree in criminal justice administration, and I'm currently working on my doctorate in criminal justice. The next man up does not automatically qualify a person to be sheriff. I have the leadership, the experience, and the education to be your next Benton County Sheriff.
Now let's get on to the questions. Are you guys ready? We will begin with Mr. Hatcher. This goes in alphabetical order. Question 1. While it appears the county commissioners have tabled this subject for the time being, please share with us your opinion on who should be running the jail. Should it be the sheriff and his department, or should there be a separate department and an administrator in charge of things?
Okay, a jail, if you look across the United States, about 85% of all jails are run by sheriff's offices, and it's the same in the state. There's 39 counties, and 6 of them are run by the county commissioners. I've sat with the county commissioners and talked about this at great length. When you look at any time you're running a county government, you should look at what's the most economically feasible, what's the best alignment of the different departments within the county. So I think it's an important decision that needs to be made and needs to be evaluated periodically. This discussion has come up almost as long as I've been at the sheriff's office. I've seen this discussion talked at great length when Sheriff Taylor was there, when Sheriff Keene was there. I think they're taking the opportunity to review it again, and I think it's the right thing to do for any county government to do it. I personally feel it belongs best in the sheriff's office, and I think that's proven itself out. Of the 6 counties that have done this, 2 of them have tried to give their jails back to the sheriff because they found that it was run better by the sheriffs. Usually when this happens, there's a disconnect between the sheriff's office and the county commissioners and stuff, which they've clearly said is not the case here. They're just looking at would it be better suited financially and decision-making within the jail where they would have more control of it. So I personally believe it resides best with the county sheriff.
Thank you, Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Lattin?
So when I started this process back in February, I believe that the commissioners already had, as Mr. Hatcher alluded, already been discussing and talking about this. I was very excited to take on that additional challenge of running a jail because I think it's a big part of what we do in the criminal justice system, how we make the community better. When we look at when they first brought it up this year on their April 4th, if you refer back to their minutes, some of the, at least for 2 of the commissioners, their issues were, and their published minutes were, they felt like there wasn't a good line of communication with the sheriff's office, and they felt like they could pay for an administrator to lead the jail based on the money that they could save. They think this is an economic issue. So we do elect county commissioners to make these sort of decisions. This shouldn't be a campaign issue, and we do need to rely on the commissioners to evaluate this system that's currently being had, and should they do it differently, and respect their decision.
Thank you, Mr. Lattin. It is now your turn to go first, and we will take an audience question for this one. What are your thoughts on racial disparities in policing, and how would you address them?
That comes down to trust, which is a big part of my campaign platform. We do need to work really hard. We have to work hard every day at earning the public's trust, and that means we have to be committed to treating people right. All people, regardless of race, regardless of any of their orientations, any of their preferences, everybody needs to be treated equally. But it's not enough just to say that we do that. The community has to feel that, and that's a perception a lot of times. And so we have to go out and work really hard, that we're out there partnering alongside with various organizations, very diverse organizations, that we're doing our best within recruiting to bring people in that reflect the community as employees. Those are the kind of things that we can do so that the perception that we are unbiased, that we are impartial, that we treat everybody fairly is reflected in what we do every day.
Thank you, Mr. Lattin. Question number 3, Mr. Hatcher, you're up first again. Oh, yes. You get to answer that one as well.
Thank you.
Would you like me to repeat it?
Go ahead.
Okay. What are your thoughts on racial disparities in politics, and how would you address them?
Well,
Policing.
I think the racial disparity, like Ken said, we treat everybody fairly. We work really hard at this every day. We send our deputies out. They go to calls. They don't look at the demographics of the populations or whether they're going to a Hispanic home, a white home, an African-American home. We don't look at this. We try to treat everybody right, fairly. We do a good job at doing that. We work to cultivate that relationship every single day. We also engage with our community so that they feel welcome to come in the sheriff's office. We have approximately 150 volunteers that work within the sheriff's office. We put on Citizens Academy. We allow ride-along programs for people to come out and ride with our deputies and see the type of work they do. And I think it really helps blend our community together because this is a community, which means that we represent every single person within the community.
All right, Mr. Hatcher. Question number 3, you do get to go first this time. Do you have suggestions for policies and procedures that could or should be adopted by law enforcement to better address the issue of mental health?
Yes, we do. I'm very proud of our mental health program. About 2013, we saw a real disconnect with the state when Eastern and Western hospitals got full, and jails and hospitals became the de facto dumping grounds for mental health people. I've gone to work. I created a multidisciplinary team within the jail that comprised of about 10 different individuals, mental health professionals, doctors, nurses, prescribers, housing specialists, reentry type people, NAMI. So we have everybody at the table, and what this group does is they create a proactive plan for each inmate that's suffering from mental health each week, and they work on this plan. Our program has been nationally recognized, and it's becoming a state model for corrections facilities. So that's one of the most important things. On the outside of the correctional facility, we went to work on a holistic approach. We worked with law enforcement, we worked with the hospitals, we worked with the medical providers and mental health providers so that we could try to, one of them is Lord's Counseling Center with transitions, so that we could find the right place for these individuals suffering from mental health so they didn't always come to the jail. And I can tell you, it's been 3 years in the workings with our mental health program, but we've received approximately a 50% reduction in our mental health inmates coming into the jail, which I think is a tremendous accomplishment and testament to our community stepping up and taking on this critical issue. Jails are not the place for people suffering from mental health.
Thank you, Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Lattin.
This is a bigger issue than just law enforcement. Law enforcement cannot be the entire solution. However, this tends to fall on law enforcement because people in crisis, if you're calling because you've got a family member or somebody who's just come into your business that's in a mental health crisis, who do you call? 911. We're 24/7, 365. We're the ones that get there. We can't be the entire solution. We do need to have the facilities in the jail to handle these individuals that are in crisis, that are clearly a danger to themselves or to the community and they've committed a crime. But we can't be the entire solution. We've got to, as a community, come together and do better. We've got to take the resources that we have in our community because these people have the opportunity to be well. I've seen it. The mental health court, amazing. It's been in operation just a little over a year here in Benton County. We need to expand that because we see tremendous successes. People are being held accountable, but they're getting well. And the physical transformation, let alone their mental transformation over the course of the program is absolutely amazing. And so we've got to take examples like that and enhance it because just putting a person in jail is never going to be the solution. We end up being the first ones there. We end up being the ones that have got to figure out solutions as law enforcement, but we've got to do better as a community to work on this problem.
We do have one more suggestion from the audience that all of us speak more loudly up here. So that's just a side note. Mr. Lattin, you are up to answer first on question 4. Please comment on the collaborative law enforcement efforts that are currently taking place between Benton County and other law enforcement agencies. Is there a particular area or program that is not currently in place where you feel the public would benefit from more collaboration?
So we are very fortunate here in the Tri-Cities, and I don't take that lightly. When you talk to officers, deputies from other parts of the state or anywhere in the country, what we have here in the Tri-Cities is special, and it didn't come by accident. It's taken a lot of work by a lot of law enforcement executives and the officers and deputies that work there to come together and put aside their egos, put aside their own wants, and figure out what's best for the community. And so those are the kind of things that we've got to continue to enhance and encourage. And any opportunity where we can share resources, where we can come together, that's for the good of the taxpayers. The Tri-City Regional SWAT Team, excellent example. Why would we have 3 different SWAT teams when we can partner together? So this mental health issue, it can be a little bit frustrating to think that we're trying to solve these problems on both sides of the river separately. That would be an excellent opportunity for the Tri-Cities as a whole to come up with some solutions, working with our medical providers, working with our mental health professionals and law enforcement to come up with a comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Mr. Lattin. Mr. Hatcher.
I can tell you that there are programs out there that we are constantly looking at, but I think the most important thing, the collaboration that is in this area is very special. We have a great collaboration between law enforcement and with the community. I can tell you that every Wednesday, every single chief and sheriff in this bi-county area meet, and we discuss the issues that are facing us from a public safety standpoint, not only in the local area, but on a state level. In addition to this, I meet with every elected sheriff, there's all 38 of them in the state every quarter, and we talk about legislation, we talk about the issues that are facing us on a state level. So there's a tremendous amount of collaboration that goes on. You know, we've recently done some creative things. We're involved with the DEA task force. We have the U.S. Marshals task force. We have the FBI task force. We have Metro, and just recently we're joining ICAC. You've seen a lot of. They did a big sting operation here. You saw that there was 26 people arrested for basically stalking our kids online. That's a huge deal. Kennewick and Richland are currently members of that. We did all the computer forensic work for them, and we will be adding a detective to them. So we take on the challenge that come to the sheriff's office and to the public safety front. We talk with all the chiefs, and we continue to work forward collaboratively so that we approach these things the right way, and we share resources to make sure that we're getting the biggest bang for our buck in law enforcement in the Tri-Cities.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hatcher. Let's all thank these candidates for taking part tonight. Jerry Hatcher, Ken Lattin. We'll now take a short break while the School Board 1 Director candidates come up and take a seat. Please stay seated in the audience as we can keep this going in a timely fashion.